forget, because now we're recording everything. Yay. Yay. Perfect. So I love approaching stuff from a very therapeutic perspective. So if you've got an ache or a pain or something that's not feeling right, yoga doesn't necessarily fix it, but yoga can help you, the physical postures of yoga can help you understand where the challenge is coming from, because that happens through mindfulness, right? Just observing, noticing without judgment, without being pulled into dialogue. So mindfulness can help us do a little bit of an assessment. And a lot of the physical postures of yoga can help to alleviate some of the discomfort. So when we have discomfort in the body, we'll keep injuries out of this. So when it's not caused by an actual injury, often what happens is we have discomfort because we're either overusing the wrong muscles, or we're kind of doing something chronically to result in, kind of compression of a working part of the body. So the discomfort comes from the musculature around joints, or around, in this case, the spinal column. And these are things that if you can kind of release some tension and increase the strength of the proper muscle groups to do our range of motion, life gets a lot better. Since kind of we went into this new way of living, people have been working in different ways, living in different ways. So there's a lot of different things popping up, and I'm super curious about all of that. So whatever is happening, shoot me an email, and it's just my pleasure to pull stuff out of my old repertoire. So again, today is a little bit of what we would classify as yoga therapy. So getting to know your body. Our goal is to release some tension and discomfort around the thoracic spine. And in case you are not up on your physiology and anatomy, our spine has, we think about it in three pieces: the cervical, the thoracic, and the lumbar. And we do say cervical because cervical is downstairs in the bathing suit area. So that's the difference, in case you're wondering. One's upstairs, one's downstairs, and we're not going to do yoga for the downstairs one, at least not on a Monday, because I'm just not prepared. So that's what we're doing. We're focusing on that mid back, and just like the middle child, that needs lots of love, or else we're going to see attention-seeking behaviors, which can be pain and discomfort. Today we are going to use a chair, or you can use, your sofa or whatever is handy. Also, if you have an extra yoga mat, that would be great. If not, a blanket or a towel that you can roll up into like a tube kind of shape. So that's what we're going to do to begin. So thank you for being here on a Monday. We are recording this. It will be online later today, and I thank people for checking out the recordings. We're going to start today in a standing posture, a little bit different. So please join me on your mat. And I guess I can get rid of some of the layers. That's my new move. That's a good move for back tension. Okay. So find your mat, and what I mean by that is find your feet, find what's going to be supporting you today. So start a little bit loose. Maybe hunch your shoulders over a bit. And just start moving around. And I want you to think about your spine as this beautiful kind of, energy and information pathway that's running down your back. And as you're just taking on this very gentle movement, and keep your core tight, sorry, as we're moving, talk about using the right muscle groups. So keep the core engaged and just notice what's happening. There is a lot of this happening in my life. I just enjoy kind of this check-in, especially in the morning, to see what's going on. So just after this little bit of range of motion, you should be able to start to pinpoint what areas maybe don't feel great. So in the back, maybe your upper back is feeling tight, maybe the mid back. So again, the thoracic, what we're going to work on today, maybe the lower back. And lower back we've been focusing on over the past couple of weeks, and you can keep moving while I'm yakking at you. We've been focusing on the low back a little bit over the past couple of weeks, and we've been doing some glute work, gluteus maximus, gluteus medius, because when we develop the glutes, we take pressure off low back, especially the QL, quadratus lumborum, and that allows us to have low back and hips without discomfort. So, okay, so now that we've just been doing a little bit of this, we will officially find our feet. So bring your feet beneath your hips, and by that, I mean the iliac crest. So you're pointing out your hip bones. That's, if you look down, it's hip bones, knees, ankles, feet. Sometimes when we say hip width apart, we see people do this. Your hips aren't actually that wide. So right under here. Spread your toes. Lift up through your arches. And all of that takes effort, right? So when you lift up through your arches, you feel all of the musculature start to engage. And let's continue to pull that up by lifting up through the patella. So move your kneecaps up, and you do that by engaging the quads. And once you engage the quads, the glutes are like, what about me? So bring the glutes into the mix. So your legs should be really engaged now. And then lengthen, straighten. And when we straighten the legs, you start to feel that engagement of the pelvic floor. Tilt the hips under, so tuck. Keep that core nice and tight. And then this is a little bit of a challenge, because the minute my core tightens, everything upstairs goes, ah. So now I have to relax my shoulders while keeping this tight and remembering to breathe. Palms face forward. Lengthen through your neck. Soften your face. Close your eyes. Let your shoulders drop away from your ears. Breathe. And do a quick check-in with your feet and make sure they're still gripping the floor and everything is solid and strong. And with every breath, get a little bit taller. So as much as possible, let's just try a breath in and out through the nose. And we're going to try a 5.5 second breath in and a 5.5 second breath out. And I'm not going to count it for you, just go at your own pace. As you're breathing in and out, notice the rise and fall of your chest. Notice that gentle sway of the body tapping into the earth's rhythm. Then one more deep breath in, please. Through the nose and out. Good. Let's open the eyes and start to relax the body. So just bend your knees a little bit. Let your shoulders kind of roll forward. Drop your head a tiny bit. Still try and keep that core tight if you can. And then from here, bend one knee a little bit more while straightening the other leg. You're still hanging forward. Notice the sensation in the feet when you're doing this. Notice the sensation up through your hip flexor, primarily the piriformis. And then switching to the other side. Now I want you to kind of mimic this with your arms. So the knee that's bent, stretch that arm down further. And then switch to the other side, reaching those fingertips down a little bit closer. You're gonna feel the stretch on the opposite side, so the leg that's straight, and soften your neck. Switching sides. Let's inhale. And exhale. Switch sides. Inhale, switching sides. Exhale, switch sides. Once more, inhale. And exhale. And then let's roll up. Good. I'm going to bring my feet a little bit further apart, and we're almost going to go into a little bit of ballet stance. So your feet are going to be pointing out to the sides. We're going to, before we really target that center area of the back, that mid-back region, I always say regional municipality. It's the regional municipality of thoracic spine, the mid-back. I want to have us warm up and loosen up the major areas that kind of border that region. So areas to the north, areas to the south. So let's start with the north. So we'll start up and work our way down, because the north is always where it's at. So bring your shoulders back, tight core, hips are tucked under. And we want to just gently sweep up. Notice what's happening in those shoulders. Inhale, looking up at your hands, pulling up here, lengthening. Exhale, pushing down. Inhale. And exhale. Once more, please. Inhale. And exhale. Roll a shoulder back. And as we do this, slowly look over that shoulder. Move to the other side. Roll your shoulder back, looking over. And then we're going to, as we normally do, start to make the motion a little bit more expressive, a little bit more fluid. So maybe I'm going to lean in. Look at that. We're incorporating the south in with the north. I believe this is called, I was going to say it's called cooperation. Maybe it's called amalgamation. And a little bit more of the range of motion. And back. And if you are anything like me, the queen of arthritis shoulders, your shoulders are going crunk, 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 crunk. So obviously, if shoulders are feeling impinged, and again, I was mentioning it's raining here today. I understand you guys might have some moisture too. If that is the case, shoulders are probably feeling tight. We can't get that middle back to release if our shoulders are tickered. So let's do a little bit more on that. And in order to do that, we steal, lovingly steal from the Kripalu method, a nice twist, and then something that we call the monkey. So to begin, make sure you have enough space around you, watching out for artwork, furnishings, small children, and pets. And I would say a cocktail too, because I don't judge. So bring your arms out to the sides. Just make sure, safety first. I'm going to move up just slightly. Good, and then just let your arms drop down. Core is tight, feet are holding on, and just start to twist. Your arms are free, and they're going to start to swing around. Increase your speed. Really let the arms just flop. Breathe a lot. Slow it down. Put your shoulders back where they belong. So I do that with a little bit of a roll. And then we move into the monkey. We're going to try and do the monkey with the wide-legged stance. And so you want to slide your arm down on one side while pulling the opposite hand up, fingertips into the armpits. So we're pushing and pulling here. Again, core is tight to protect the low back, and we start to move back and forth. Increase your speed. Keep holding on with your feet. Again, Kripalu method is very vocal. So if we were in that kind of an environment, we would be making monkey sounds. Always a good time. And release. Good. Rolling back up, fixing wardrobe as you need to, and start back into your twist. Lots of breaths here, and if you find yourself needing to cough a bit, that's totally cool because we are pushing crap out of our lungs. And slowing it down. It's a nice way to actually warm up the entire body by doing this. And now we go back to the monkey, so lifting back and forth. I'm glad I'm not wearing a lapel mic because the sounds I'm making are not pretty right now. And relax. So actually, let's incorporate a little bit of that motion to it. So bring your arms up into the air, take a deep breath in, and then exhale, just let the arms come down hanging. And you want to feel your shoulders roll forward. Arms are swinging back and forth. Sweep up, inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. Kind of whistling here for effect. Inhale up, and exhale. And once more, inhale, and exhale. And then we roll all the way up. Nice. So I'm nice and warm now, so I'm gonna lose. I love how by the end of class, I'm gonna have a complete wardrobe off camera. I feel like I should have an assistant dressing me here today. Okay, good. So if your shoulders are still feeling really tight and impinged, you could do more of the monkey and that twist a little bit later. So now what we wanna do is steal another steal from the eccentrics method to do some more range of motion. I'm gonna move back a tiny bit so you can see me better. We're gonna keep our feet where they are, make sure everything's engaged. Hips are still tucked under nice and tight through the core. Bring your arm out to the side. And this is where we start to lead with the back of the hand. And we wanna come down and forward and then up and back, right? So that beautiful sweeping motion. And you can do it just with the arm and the shoulder. My shoulders are still not feeling great, so I'm actually going to use my legs. I just sweep down, and you want to go with the breath. So I like to inhale as I open and exhale, sweeping forward. So inhale and exhale. And just find your range of motion that is comfortable. Check your core is still engaged. And if you want to be a total superstar, as you're kind of moving up and down, see if you can engage your glutes. So I'm relaxing the butt, pinching the butt cheeks as I straighten up. Who knew that you were going to spend this summer learning how to engage your buttocks? I should put that on my website. Never know who will show up to those classes. So we'll do one more here. And just roll your shoulder back. Perfect. Let's go to the other side. I could have done that all day, but we have other stuff to do. So extending out, back of the hand leads, and again, just kind of try the range of motion first, down and back, and then moving freely into this. So again, not only are we focusing here on the shoulders, of course, because of that range of motion, but if you bring your free hand to that mid-back region, and I will turn around so you see what I mean. So much range of motion is happening through this area. And so this is what we're talking about when we think about this idea of warming up, increasing the blood flow, and engaging those muscles. Good, and relax. Nice. We're going to come into a C formation. So I'm doing this. I don't know what you call this. Link your fingers, kind of do a little claw, a little sloth hand, and then connect your fingers. And we want to, this time, feet are going to be a little bit further than the hips, toes pointing forward. Bend your knees, tuck the hips under, pull the hands forward, and you're going to arch the back. So now we're getting into the stretching and engagement of that area. I'll show you this way. What a gorgeous looking posture, but it should feel good. Tuck your head down. And as you inhale, we bring the hands back to the heart. Try and keep your elbows up. And let's do a few more of these. So let's breathe in here. Exhale forward, really arching in. Inhale up. I said elbows up. It doesn't matter because I'm not even doing it. And pushing forward, arching the back. And up. And back down, maybe sink a little bit deeper. Then up. We'll do one more here, please. And coming back up and releasing down. Now, you might have been feeling that more in the shoulder blade area, so around the scapula, your angel wings. And if that's the case, that's okay. That's kind of where I like to stretch, but everything else is still heating up and activating. So now we're going to start to target that mid-back area. If this is somewhere that you are having sensitivity right now, be mindful. You want to stop these postures if you find your breath becomes shallow, because that's always the sign. Even sometimes before we feel pain or physical discomfort, your breath will catch. If your breath catches, please pay attention to that. So let's start with a chair, and I'm going to move a little bit closer to the camera. I know it can be hard to see me on a little device. I'm going to put the chair here. And again, you can do this just using a sofa. It doesn't have to be a fancy foldy chair or a dining room chair. It could be like an easy chair or anything else. So basically, we're going to do a modification of Playful Puppy here to begin with, so we can start to really target that thoracic spine for a stretch. If your knees are uncomfortable on the floor, just either flip up your mat to double it up or put a cushion or a towel underneath. So what we want to do is, my knees are going to be hip width apart. You could have your toes curled under for stability, but you don't have to. And then I'm going to move to a forearm, move back a little bit here. And then what I want to do is, hips are starting to come up as I'm sinking down. This is pretty subtle. So you're just going to feel a stretch happening So this is our first stage of the stretch. So you've got this nice kind of dip in the back happening. And then tighten through your core, lifting up, maybe one hand pulls back than the other. We're gonna modify this and do it again a little bit differently. So I'm gonna come closer. I'm going to bring my hands behind my head just like this. So kind of lacing in under your head. Bring, it's hard to see. You don't have to have your head on the chair, but you want to have the backs of your elbows on the chair. And then wiggle yourself back because you basically want to do that same stretch. Hips are tilting up. You want to lengthen down the spine. You know what? I am resting my forehead on this chair because it feels good. Keep the breath really deep. And then start to come up. You're going to have to untangle the hands, maybe bring them down and pushing up. From here, tuck the hips under, arching the back, leaning back a little bit. So this is almost a modification of cat-cow. Go as far back into this as you can, keeping that core tight. Good, let's come up. Bring your shoulders down. Okay, so we're gonna try this again. And we keep kind of shifting this to see if we can really get this to release and lengthen. So we did this, now we're gonna do this. So the other place you can do this is on the side of your bed if the mattress is at a good height and if you're a little bit shorter than me. Okay, so now my arms are crossed. Now my forehead is resting. I have to move back a little bit. Make sure your chair is not going to slide. And I'm going to sink down. And I'm just going to hang out here again, deep breaths. This is usually the sweet one where you feel just such release. So hang and breathe. Couple more breaths. And then very gently bring a hand down, bring another hand down. I'm gonna push my chair away. If that's a sofa, you're gonna have a problem with that. And from here, we're gonna slide into a child's pose. So I'm going to invite you to bring your knees about shoulder width apart, toes come together. Push back here, and then we're gonna sink forward and just peace out into the floor. Just enjoy some beautiful deep breaths. Tighten through your core. Start to move back up to the hands and knees. Bring those knees right under the hips. Drop your head for a moment. And now we're going to keep, swiping my nose, how attractive is that? We're going to keep the energy flowing up and down the spine. And then we're going to do those 3 stretches again, just so hopefully you'll have the physical memory created of how we get into those postures. Because if this is a tough area for you, that mid-back, these are some of the, I guess, the highest probability of releasing some of the tension that is there. And when we get to our meditation, I'll talk a little about the esoteric, the thought that that might be related to a chakra impingement or blockage, which, you know, whatever. But we'll stretch it out a bit more first. So a little bit of cat-cow, because that never is a bad idea. And often we start with cat-cow, but we've done all this other motion, and your body should be warmer. So see if you can notice a difference here today. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees underneath your hips, core is tight, and we're going to take a slow, deep breath in while the hips and the shoulders lift, head comes up. Nice stretch through the chin. And exhale, arching the back, head drops down. Inhale. And exhale. I hope you guys notice a difference. I notice a difference here. Inhale. And exhale. Breathing in and out. Once more, inhale. Really push those hips up. Get your butt lifted. It's Monday. And exhale. Good. I'm going to flip my toes. Pull back. And this beautiful roll right there. Which is my favorite thing to do constantly all day. I'm always reminding myself, put your shoulders back where they belong, which means up, back, and then slide them down. So you want to kind of feel the scapula go and scratch down your back like the most wonderful thing ever. It's like, remember when we were kids? Maybe you don't remember, but when I was a kid, I used to sit with all my friends in the playground, and when we didn't want to play tetherball, and we would sit in a line and we'd draw on each other's backs. And then the person at the back of the line would be like, no fair. And then they got to go to the front and you draw. Anyway, that's what that feels like to me. When you just really, get that wonderful release down the back, it feels like that, which is nice when you don't have a lineup of people to draw on backs. That should be another activity that we do back when we can gather again. So pull your sofa or your chair back, please. And we're going to go through those 3 pieces again. Not so much because you might need it, but mostly because if you do a physical thing a few times, especially if it's new, you will create the neural pathways of permanent team that will help you have a physical memory of this for when you need it again. It's kind of like your little team writing down notes for you. So we start with the extended arms. And we're really just kind of playing here. So just get comfortable. I'm going to bend my elbows a little bit. And I'm going to go back to that nice nose breathing. And keep kind of pushing that pelvis back and up. So you're kind of tipping your butt up. Good. And then slowly reversing that. Again, let's do that beautiful roll up and back. Nice. So this time, fingertips behind. And then we kind of balance on this part of the arm. I'm lucky I have lots of extra wings right now, so lots of extra padding for the chair. So hands behind the head, just kind of sinking down. And move your knees back accordingly. I do like to rest my head on the chair. And then kind of reverse it up. So do a little bit of a back arch here. Untangling safely, releasing, arching back. Oh, that should feel really good. Rolling up and back. And then once more, we do the third stage, which is, this is like the little I Dream of Jeannie one. I don't know what I would call that in Sanskrit. You know what I mean. If you can wiggle your nose, now would be a good time to do that. So, easing in. This is my favorite one. And I'm going to wiggle my knees back. And you want to kind of let your back stretch out here. Just create space. Good, and then coming up, again, nice and controlled. I'm gonna flip my toes under, and I'm actually going to do a little bit of a modified cat-cow here. I'm going to really push back into that thoracic spine. And if you can kind of tuck right in here, breathing. Slowly up, core is tight as you lift. Bring your shoulders to the back body. Hopefully that feels good. I'm going to grab a sip of my tea, my ginger yogi tea. I'm going to read you what it says on the tag because that's one of my favorite things I do every day. Read my tea bag. So, some people have that skill. They read tea leaves. I read tea bag little papers because, you know, skills. Okay, so today it says, we'll see if I can do this without my glasses. Love is to live for somebody. Love is not to live with somebody. Love is to live for somebody. Love is not to live with somebody. I believe everybody who has ever shared a home with me would agree with that statement. That's fabulous. Good times. The wisdom of the yogi, ginger tea. Okay, perfect. So we're going to do the other stretch now that is really great for that discomfort in the thoracic spine. This is also, if you have been noticing in your state of mindfulness, a lot of these stretches that we've been doing, while they're releasing that part of the back, you might also feel that you're having some stretching in through the pectorals and in through your shoulders. And again, if we want to get that targeted area to release and relax, we have to kind of start that further out and then move inwards. Everything is connected, so everything needs to agree to just relax already. So this is Thread the Needle. And for me, it's always really amazing because I think I'm pretty flexible, but this stretch, especially when we bring the arm up into the air, I always go, oh man, I got some work to do. So a really important acknowledgement of where our challenge areas are. My hips are flexible, not my shoulders. Mindfulness would say, why is that? And my response is arthritis, which now I know, so I can have a plan to rectify, well, not rectify that situation, but to live with it in peace and harmony. Good. I'm just gonna move my chair out of the way. If you're dealing with the sofa, move yourself, that's easier. And we will come back to the hands and the knees. Please and thank you. So Thread the Needle is that beautiful posture where we're going to dump down to a shoulder and bring the butt up into the air. Keep the core tight to protect the low back in the twist. And if this doesn't feel good, then just lie down and, you know, chill, relax, enjoy. Perfect. Okay, so I'm going to start by bringing my hands a little bit closer together and maybe my knees a little bit further apart. Tighten through the core. I'm going to weight bear on my left hand, which is the one away from the camera right now. So you can see what I'm doing if that's what you need to do. I'm going to take a breath in and I'm going to start to reach up to the air. So this is where After I scratch my face, this is where I always go, man, I don't have great range of motion. So I'm leaning back, take some deep breaths. And then I'm going to come down and I thread the needle. This is what I'm talking about. So I'm coming through. I'm going to drop down to my shoulder and collapse into the floor, butt in the air, hanging out here. This is honestly, it's hard enough doing this in a studio, never mind doing this on a camera. But anything for you guys, anything for yoga. So again, think about, really draw your attention into that mid-back area. Think about the stretching and the twisting. And then move your, so my left hand, the one that is further away from my camera, I'm going to start to push myself up so I can bring that right arm back up and through. We'll do this 2 more times. So same side. Inhale up. Really extending and lifting here. See if you can just really stretch, stretch, stretch up to the fingertips. Arms should feel like they are stretching. And then down, thread the needle. Sinking down, being cozy. Couple of breaths. And then all the way up, 3rd time. And taking a breath. And coming down. And again, just sinking into this posture. Beautiful. So pushing back up. Both hands are here. If we had a ton more time, which we don't, I would say do a little bit more cat-cow or tiger, which is this beautiful posture. You don't have to. We're just going to go in to thread the needle on the other side. So I'm not going to switch around because you'll see me from a different angle now. Taking my left hand this time up towards the air. Oh, this is my... This is every once in a while I get into a posture where I'm like, why did I choose to do this? This is like my worst posture to demonstrate. At least worst posture on the left side. So I'm gonna reach up and back. Oh my word, this side is so much tighter for me. And then coming down and moving through, dropping down. I wanna thank you guys for supporting me in my tightness today. It's just a good time to sink into the floor and think about impingement of shoulders. And then core is tight. We're going to push back up and inhale. Inhale towards this understanding that that is tight. And coming back down and through. Thread the needle. Again, in this moment of surrender, I'm realizing that I once again didn't close the blinds in the studio. So, oh my goodness, great view today, and we'll fill. And last time, 3rd time, lucky, bring that arm up into the air and reaching through those fingertips, lengthening, lengthening. And coming down, thread the needle, sinking into your mat. Hopefully this feels really good. And then to release, one hand lifting up, the other hand is going to grab you or not, at least support you, and then we're going to drop down to the hips. So again, I always have these great ideas. We get through so much when we work together, but there's always like about 50 things that we don't get to. And the reality is, and maybe we'll work a little bit on this on Wednesday evening, or if not, then next week for sure. But if the thoracic spine is tight, the reality is you probably have tightness in the lower back as well, the QL. So we've done a good job today of kind of releasing upper back tension so that we could actually effectively lengthen along the thoracic spine, but we haven't had the time to get down to the QL region. So if you kind of reach around and grab your butt and then slide your hands up just slightly, kind of like this area is, this is your bum, this is your QL, and that's kind of the next area that we would want to target to make sure that all of that tension releases. So let's take a moment now, and we're going to do a beautiful spinal release. So this is where I said grab a blanket, a towel, or if you have an extra yoga mat, or if you're on a soft surface, just use your yoga mat. So my blanket is probably dry from the pouring rain that I ran through this morning. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of start folding. You want to think about how long your yoga mat would be, and it's probably usually like width-wise, and that's usually kind of the length of your spine. Fancy that thought. So whatever you're rolling up, roll it up really nice and tight. It's like make a fort with Barb Shaw. But we're not making a fort, don't worry. This is my handy dandy IKEA fleece blanket. I think these things are like $5. I love them. I have a house full of them, car full of them. They're great. So basically you're going to create your tube just like this, and then you want to place it on the mat. This is a great way to open the pectorals as well. So again, thinking about if we release this, then we are less likely to be doing this. If we are doing this, your thoracic spine does not have the ability to kind of live in its normal curvature, its normal, beautiful, flowy space. So that's why we're moving on to this stretch now. So we're going to come to the mat and pull your tube right into your butt. Probably a better way to give that verbal cue, but you want to kind of have that tube right next to the SI joint. From here, nice and tight through the core. My knees are bent and feet are going to be hip width apart. Don't straighten your legs, please. And then we start to lean back down. And if you are uncomfortable with your head being on the floor, then you could put a cushion under it, or I'm going to do this handy trick where I just roll my yoga mat up. Arms come out to the sides, and I'm going to move my feet a little bit closer to the bum. And you can see I'm lifted, the chest is opening, arms are going to come out to the sides. Please keep the core a little bit engaged. So you can do these postures with something called a bolster if you have one. I love a yoga mat or the rolled up blanket or towel. And this for me, I'm actually feeling this because we've done so much activation along that mid back. That's where I'm feeling this right now. So I'm just going to close the eyes, start to breathe deeply. We're going to kind of cheat this through for part of our Shavasana. So just breathe, closing your eyes. Again, if you can go back to that nose breath, have at her. So I would ask while you're piecing out in this posture to do a little bit of a check-in with yourself and really just observe what you're feeling in the body physically, but also think about what you're feeling emotionally. Hopefully it's good stuff. So we're going to hold here for a few more moments. I'm going to invite you now to bring your hands, resting one on top of the other, just on your tummy. So right beneath the ribs, and depending on how high you are up, you might have to kind of tuck the elbows in. And if this is really uncomfortable, you don't have to do it, or you could just have one hand if that's better. And the reason why we're doing this is, as I mentioned earlier, kind of getting into the esoteric part of a yoga practice, which, you know, I'm that gal who's grounded in science, and to be quite blunt, I get a little bit uncomfortable sometimes talking about the esoteric, but I use it because it adds a layer of imagery. And if that's something you can connect with and that gets you further into your practice, then I think it's worth taking that leap of faith, so to speak. So that's my disclaimer anyway. So our hands now are resting on the energy center that is known as the solar plexus chakra. So it's not on the surface of the tummy, it really is along the spinal column. And it is exactly in the location that we've been working on today. The solar plexus chakra is, and chakra is Sanskrit for wheel. So if you picture a little wheel spinning, that's what chakras are. So when there is disruption of energy, physically or emotionally, that wheel doesn't spin, and that's what we call a blockage. So when you hear yoga people say, your chakras are blocked, that's what's happening. The wheel has stopped spinning. So our solar plexus is our center of physical and emotional strength. So just take a moment to consider if you might have been overusing that energy center for, I don't know, the last 3, almost 4 months now. And when we think about it, energy is supposed to be expressive and receptive. So not only are we supposed to express physical and emotional strength out, but if we don't receive it equally, then there is an imbalance. So sit there and think about that. And then we're going to release the hands, bring them up and back, opening kind of into a cactus formation. So we drew attention to the solar plexus chakra. Now we're kind of releasing. This is a very, very much a position of surrender, especially being balanced on this roll under your back. So you probably feel a little bit unstable. So as you breathe in, I want you to visualize that your breath is starting to turn that little energy center, that little special wheel. And I want you to feel like you are receiving physical and emotional strength. Enough of the giving, people. Time to receive. Because when there's an imbalance, there is a blockage. And when there's a blockage, you can't express out. Or what you're expressing out is limited and you don't feel like doing it. So recharge, pull it in, feel that wonderful, wonderful energy flowing through you. And then we're going to start to release this. So I'm going to bring my left hand to the head like a cushion. And I'm going to start to roll onto the left side off of that blanket or the yoga mat. And if you have a chance, really nice idea to just throw that roll between the knees, maybe supporting the feet too. This just balances out the hips. And just close your eyes. You can think about your solar plexus chakra, or you can think about what a great experience you had today, focusing on yourself, doing something good for you. And I could stay here all day, except they won't let me because there are other classes. So to release this, I'm just going to slowly remove the blanket. And you can start to push your way up. And again, use that blanket because it's here. Just lift up onto it, a little bit of extra space. You can join me in a seated posture. This makes me think of yesterday afternoon. I was enjoying some reruns of The Final Cafe with Stuart McLean, and they had the wonderful Dave story. All the Dave stories always make my heart just grow, and hearing Stuart McLean's voice, I just miss him so much. And he was telling the story of going on a yoga retreat, and it was absolutely hilarious. I should try and find the link and share it because I'm sure all of you would enjoy it, especially getting into a posture like this. But it really made my day so bright to hear that story. So just keep that breath flowing again. Keep visualizing that beautiful spinning wheel, right? And really focus maybe for the rest of today on how you can keep it spinning, how you can keep that balance. We've done a lot of work today to create beautiful space within that middle back. Now that we have space, be mindful of what you move into that space. Keep it positive. Keep it something that will serve you. Because if it works for you, it means that you can continue to work for others, but it needs to work for you first. So instead of bringing the hands to the heart, let's do a little bit of a reverse mudra, right down to that solar plexus chakra. Chest is proud. And just spend a few more moments in that very esoteric space. And imagine you're uploading energy pretty much from your butt and downloading through the crown of your head. And those two beautiful streams of energy meet in the center at the solar plexus chakra. And just breathe in that beautiful strength, physically and emotionally, supporting you for the day ahead. Thank you guys so much for hanging out on a Monday. I hope the rest of your day and your week is amazing. And then we can flip it up to the heart. Namaste. You guys are the greatest.
Thank you, Barb.